Just a couple months ago, the Marvel brand was at its lowest point in over 2 decades, yet with one simple video game, the entire brand has seen a massive momentum swing that has completely revived the Marvel franchise. However, in today's video, we'll be explaining why the game developer responsible for Marvel's huge revival could also be responsible for their future downfall. In the world of entertainment, few names have soared as high as Marvel. Marvel Comics, born in 1939 as timely publications, revolutionized the entertainment industry with its creation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU. The MCU is a vast interconnected web of superhero films and television series based on the Marvel's comic book characters. The MCU formula has proven to be irresistible to fans, who eagerly anticipate each new release to see how it fits into the larger picture of the MCU. This shared universe began in 2008 with Iron Man and has since expanded into a multi-phase saga, with each phase building upon the last to create a cohesive narrative. The Marvel Cinematic Universe quickly became a cultural phenomenon. With each new release, audiences flocked to theaters eager to see their favorite superheroes come to life on the big screen. The franchise's ability to weave together multiple storylines and characters across different films was unprecedented, culminating in the epic Avengers series that shattered box office records. Marvel's journey to the top of the entertainment world was marked by a series of blockbuster hits leading up to Avengers Endgame in 2019, which is the highest grossing Marvel movie of all time. The franchise had been building momentum for years, with films like The Avengers that came out in 2012 breaking box office records and setting new standards for superhero team-up movies. And then, moving more into 2018, there was Black Panther, which became a cultural phenomenon, grossing over $1.3 billion worldwide and earning critical acclaim for its representation and storytelling. And in that same year, there was also Avengers Infinity War, which set the stage for Avengers Endgame by delivering a shocking cliffhanger that left audiences desperate for resolution. This anticipation, combined with a decade of character development and world building, culminated in Avengers Endgame becoming one of the highest grossing films of all time upon its release, and had the entire world on edge as one of the most anticipated films of the past decade. The Marvel Universe was peaking during 2019, but as the saying goes, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. After Avengers Endgames lived up to its ridiculous high hype, the standards for Marvel movies grew exponentially, and the greed from Disney only increased. The cracks in Marvel's armor began to show in the aftermath of Endgame. While films like Spider-Man: Far From Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness performed well, there was a sense that the magic was starting to fade. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted release schedules and forced Marvel to pivot to streaming content, which initially was exciting for fans, but began to become overwhelming. As we entered into 2023, the Marvel machine started to sputter. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania underperformed at the box office, earning just $476 million worldwide, a far cry from the billion-dollar heights the franchise had once reached. Critics and fans alike began to voice their concerns about superhero fatigue and perceived decline in quality. But it was the release of the Marvels in late 2023 that truly sent shockwaves through the industry. Despite being a sequel to the billion-dollar grossing Captain Marvel, the film became the lowest grossing entry in the MCU to date. The once invincible Marvel brand suddenly looked very vulnerable. And it wasn't just the Marvels. Movies like Thor: Love and Thunder, Eternals, Shang-Chi, and Black Widow all underperformed box office expectations and were negatively received by fans. What went wrong? Why were these movies performing so bad, and so recently to Marvel's highest grossing film ever? The answer lies in a perfect storm of factors that had been brewing for years. First and foremost, the sheer volume of content Marvel was producing began to work against them. With multiple films and Disney Plus TV series releasing each year, audiences found it increasingly difficult to keep up. The interconnected nature of the MCU, once its greatest strength, became a burden for casual viewers who felt they needed to watch everything to understand the latest release. This oversaturation led to a decline in the perceived quality of Marvel's output. While some entries like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 received decent praise, others like Thor, Love and Thunder, and Secret Invasion were met with very lukewarm responses. The formula that had worked so well for over a decade began to feel stale and predictable. Adding to these woes was a shift in culture surrounding movies. As Christopher Nolan, the director of Oppenheimer and so many other big hits, noted, you can't deny filmgoers' desire for novelty. Audiences began seeking out fresh, original stories that didn't rely on established franchises or superhero tropes. The financial impact of these issues was significant. Marvel's box office dominance, once taken for granted, began to wane. The Marvels not only underperformed, but it was on track to be one of the biggest box office bombs in recent memory. For a franchise that had consistently delivered billion-dollar hits, this was a stark wake-up call. Behind the scenes, even Disney executives began to acknowledge the problems. The CEO of Disney admitted that Marvel may have diluted its focus and attention.
We're extremely realistic, and I'm very objective about that business, and there have been some disappointments. We would have liked some of our more recent releases to have performed better. It's reflective, not as a problem from a personnel perspective, but I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve our mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that. They had not been in the TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series. And frankly, it diluted focus and attention. And I think you're seeing that is, I think, more the cause than anything else.
As we entered 2024, the Marvel brand found itself at a crossroads. The days of guaranteed success were over, and the studio faced the daunting task of reinventing itself for a new era. In the midst of Marvel's declining popularity, an unexpected savior emerged in the form of Marvel Rivals, a free-to-play hero shooter developed by NetEase Games. Launched on December 6 of 2024, this game not only revitalized the Marvel brand, but also reignited the passion of fans worldwide. NetEase Games, a Chinese multinational technology company, secured the rights to develop Marvel Rivals through a partnership with Marvel Entertainment. The partnership between Marvel and NetEase Games is a move that allows both companies to focus on their strengths. Marvel can continue to concentrate on producing high-quality movies and TV shows, while NetEase brings its expertise in game development and live service management to the table. This collab enables Marvel to expand its presence in the gaming market without diverting resources from its core, which is media production. But this partnership also facilitates Marvel Rivals' global reach, leveraging NetEase's strong presence in the Asian market while tapping into Marvel's worldwide fan base. NetEase is an experienced gaming company that had a very unique strategy to craft an addicting game that people wanted to play. They understood that people still enjoyed the Marvel universe, but were simply fed up with the same movie slop Disney had been providing in recent years. They also saw a gap in the current gaming market, with the once massively popular hero shooter Overwatch having its worst player counts since its inception. That's where NetEase made their move at taking over the former playership of Overwatch by creating a game that felt smoother, had more characters, more updates, maps, and abilities. A game that was simply much better. One major difference in the two games is Marvel Rivals' team-up skills system. This mechanic allows for synergy between characters to build upon each other's base movesets. The team-up system in Marvel Rivals goes beyond simple ultimate combinations, offering a deeper layer of strategy and teamwork. These team-ups can shift metas and force different strategies inside the game, which is super refreshing for the hero shooter genre. For example, the Gamma Charge team-up between the Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man allows Hulk to charge his teammates with Gamma Radiation, while Doctor Strange uses Maelstrom of Madness ability, and Iron Man has his Armor Overdrive Gamma upgrade. Or my personal favorite team-up as a Punisher main is the Ammo Overlord team-up, where Rocket Raccoon supplies the Punisher and Winter Soldier with unlimited ammo, allowing both characters to shred through the enemy's tank line. These team-ups not only enhance abilities, but also provide additional benefits. For instance, the Fantastic Four team-up grants the damage resistance and health regeneration to the team, while Invisible Woman receives a 15% healing bonus, which really could be the difference between staying alive in a crucial team fight. This system encourages players to think strategically about team composition and ability usage. With 17 team-ups currently available and more planned for future updates, Marvel Rivals offers a constantly evolving meta that keeps the gameplay fresh and exciting. This emphasis on character synergy and cooperative gameplay creates a unique experience that goes beyond traditional hero shooters, offering players new ways to engage with their favorite Marvel characters and discover powerful combinations. Which is why Marvel Rivals' diverse and inclusive character roster is a significant strength of the game, offering players so many different heroes and villains from across the Marvel universe to choose from. This approach not only caters to hardcore Marvel fans, but also educates casual newer players about the vast array of Marvel characters. The inclusion of lesser known characters like Jeff the Landshark, Luna Snow, and even Squirrel Girl showcases Marvel's commitment to diving deep into their character pool. But not only is there a ton of depth with the characters you can select, but also with the playstyle of these specific characters. Characters like Magic with her magic abilities and demonic transformations, or Psylocke with her telepathic powers, bring complex gameplay mechanics beyond your typical straight shooter heroes like the Punisher, for example. This variety keeps the game fresh and engaging, encouraging players to experiment with different playstyles beyond run-and-gun shooting. Moreover, the inclusion of characters from different cultural backgrounds, such as Iron Fist and Luna Snow, adds to the game's appeal by providing representation for players from different backgrounds. Marvel Rivals' ability to spotlight lesser-known characters opens a gateway for other underutilized heroes to join the game. Characters like Dazzler and Demolition Man, who have been overlooked in other media, could find a new life in Marvel Rivals, which who knows could lead to potentially big screen showcasing in movies later down the line. With plans to introduce new heroes every 45 days, the game can continue to expand its character pool, and it's not like they'll ever run out of characters, considering the hundreds of options in the Marvel universe. Another reason for this game's success is their commitment to post-launch updates while also making Marvel Rivals a free-to-play game. NetEase has removed the barrier to entry for many potential players, and this decision has allowed the game to quickly build a large player base, with over 10 million players worldwide in its first 72 hours and doubling to 20 million the following week. The game's seasonal structure plays a crucial role in this strategy, with each season lasting 3 months split into 2 equal parts of 6 to 7 weeks each. The game's first full season, Season 1, dubbed the Empire of Eternal Night, began in early January 2025, following the initial mini-season, Season 0, that ran through December of 2024. This season introduced new heroes from the Fantastic Four, specifically the Human Torch and the Thing, as a part of mid-season updates. In NetEase's seasonal structure plan, they want to introduce a new hero every 45 days, which could potentially expand the roster from 37 heroes to 117 in just a couple years. Additionally, the game launched with 8 maps, and they plan to add a new map on every single seasonal update. But not only do they want to add more maps, they want to add more game modes, story development, seasonal rewards, and cool cosmetics as fast as humanly possible. This comprehensive post-launch strategy demonstrates NetEase's commitment to keeping Marvel Rivals fresh and exciting for players. By consistently introducing new content and refining existing features, the game aims to maintain player engagement and grow its community over time. So it would appear that the developer behind Marvel Rivals had made all the correct decisions when creating this superhero shooter, and that things are only looking up from here. But even as a huge fan of Marvel Rivals myself, it's time to look at this entire situation from a glass half full point of view. While NetEase may have brought back Marvel into the spotlight, there are already signs that they could just as easily fumble the bag. A deeper dive into NetEase's gaming history, along with their concerning business practices, reveals a very real possibility that Marvel Rivals could follow the same fate as one of their previous projects, Marvel Super War, which launched with great promise but ultimately fizzled into irrelevance. What many people forget or just totally didn't know is that before Marvel Rivals came along, NetEase had already taken a crack at creating a successful Marvel game. Back in 2019, they released Marvel Super War, a mobile MOBA game that was essentially League of Legends with Marvel characters slapped on top, played on an iPhone or Android device. On paper, this sounded like a surefire hit. Players could control Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man, and dozens of other fan-favorite heroes in strategic 5v5 battles. MOBA games were still thriving in the mobile gaming space, and Marvel's character roster was a perfect fit for the genre. It's essentially the same idea they had with Marvel Rivals, where they take an already successful game, make some slight tweaks, and then add in Marvel characters that everybody knows and loves. But despite a promising launch, Marvel Super War never reached mainstream success. In fact, it's a game that most Marvel fans today probably haven't even heard of. The reason? A combination of poor marketing, regional exclusivity, and NetEase's questionable monetization strategies. But notice how I didn't mention the gameplay itself. That's because, like most of NetEase's games, they're actually developed quite well and play pretty smoothly. The few people that were able to experience Marvel Super War thoroughly enjoyed the gameplay and even considered it one of the best MOBAs to come out in recent years. But despite such a well-crafted game, everything else surrounding the game is what brought it down. That's because NetEase completely fumbled on the global release of the game. Marvel Super War was never officially released in North America or Europe, locking out a massive potential player base. Instead, it was primarily limited to Asia, where it struggled to retain a large following. Now, NetEase, being an Asian developing game developer, is why there is so much bias towards the continent and their releases. However, how could a mobile MOBA with great gameplay not perform well in a continent that heavily favors mobile MOBAs? I mean, India alone is the largest mobile gaming market in the world by downloads, so surely it would have taken off there, but something out of their control screwed the NetEase team. In September of 2020, Marvel Super War was officially banned in India as a part of a sweeping action by the Indian government. The game was among 118 Chinese apps that were removed from the Indian Google Play and Apple stores due to rising geopolitical tensions between India and China. The ban came in response to border disputes between the two countries, which sparked a digital boycott of Chinese technology and applications. While this was largely a political move, it had a catastrophic impact on games like Marvel Super War, which had already struggled with limited regional availability. Losing access to the Indian player base, a market with over 400 million mobile gamers, essentially cut the game off from one of the most important audiences for mobile gaming. Now, any developer after hearing this news would make the obvious decision to try and globally release to recoup that Indian audience from other countries across Europe and North America. But NetEase completely fumbled and refused to do so. And with that, matchmaking queues were growing longer, indicating a dwindling player count. Without enough players, the game struggled to offer balanced and consistent matchmaking, which led to a poor gameplay experience, driving even more players away, with this user on Reddit stating, "Marvel Super War had so much potential. The characters, the abilities, everything felt so true to the Marvel universe. But locking it to a few regions and then losing India was the end of it. Such a waste."
Today, we sadly have to deliver difficult news about the future service plans of Marvel Super War due to adjustments in our game development and operation strategies, aka money. Service for Marvel Super War is scheduled to end on June 27th, 2024 at 1500 UTC 8. We would like to express our sincere gratitude for any and everyone that supported NetEase's Marvel Super War mobile game.
Now, some might say that the Indian software ban was out of their control, and NetEase can't be blamed for these failures. But there is already repeatable behaviors we saw in Marvel Super Wars that we're seeing again in Marvel Rivals. One of the most concerning is NetEase's recent decision to lay off employees in its US gaming division, despite the positive reception of Marvel Rivals and over $2.9 billion in quarterly revenue that they received since releasing the game. In February 2025, it was reported that NetEase had cut jobs at its Western offices, including key developers who were involved in their live service titles. The layoffs, which came just weeks after Marvel Rivals' announcement, sent mixed signals. Why would a company reduce its workforce right as one of its most anticipated games was gaining momentum and making them loads of money? The answer likely comes down to corporate cost cutting and profit first decision making. Unfortunately, this is a familiar pattern with major gaming publishers, reducing headcount and expenses even when a product is performing well, and at the end of the day, it just comes down to corporate greed. Surely, even if these specific employees' jobs were redundant after release, they could have just found them new jobs in a different sector of their business. Keep in mind, these employees just helped you generate over $2 billion in just one quarter, and I think that justifies supporting these employees instead of unjustifiably firing them.
They should have repurposed them, though. They should have found the right thing to do. Yeah, the right thing to do is your game is successful and find a way to repurpose these guys instead of canning them. So that sucks, but it's not gonna mean
NetEase though as well. So
my guess is NetEase wants to keep their business and all of their branches in China, not in America. So that's probably why they shut it down, is my guess.
A company with this kind of work environment will never set themselves up for long-term success in the future, as good work is just negatively rewarded, which is the exact opposite of how their business should be structured. What's interesting is that when NetEase made a statement about their recent layoffs, they didn't even make an attempt to save face by using the words optimize development efficiency, aka we just want more money for our shareholders. In addition to money, people are also pointing out that this could be a global political situation as well, with NetEase trying to keep as many of their employees in Asia as possible with regards to the current global tensions in politics. Although this is just a rumor at this point, it's probably not a coincidence when you have the Chinese government tariffing other countries, encouraging more production in China, the same way the US is going about it themselves. Although highly unlikely, there is the very real possibility that Marvel Rivals could be banned across North America. The same thing that killed Marvel Super Wars could be the thing that kills Marvel Rivals, and although once again highly unlikely, we should never rule out the very real possibility. Marvel Rivals is without a doubt one of the most exciting Marvel brand related items to be announced in years. But the downfall of Marvel Super War proves that NetEase is capable of squandering even the most promising IPs. Their history of aggressive monetization tactics could alienate players before the game even has a chance to reach its true peak, and the developer that saved Marvel's gaming reputation could very well be the one that destroys it. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments section, and if you like videos like this one, feel free to subscribe to the channel.